Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about World War Z, the complete edition. You chose a great one to start off, by the way. It was like the first book I got on my Audible account, along with George Carlin Reads to You. And what drew me in, because I'd seen the abridged edition from a friend's account like years ago, but the complete edition just sold me on the extra content, especially the full cast. The cast of characters you got in this thing, just looking at the names that they got to do this thing. You got Nathan Fillion, Mark Hamill, F. Murray Abraham, Rob Reiner, freaking Martin Scorsese. It's like every two words you're finding somebody like, oh my god, that guy, that guy, that guy. But the cast is great, and it makes it feel a lot more alive, because the whole point of World War Z is it's not like a novel, it's a documentary of sorts. It's basically I guess mockumentary is the correct term, but it's treated as though this is historical fact, and the way it's done, I always described it as basically a Tom Clancy novel with zombies, because there really is, like, there's nothing left unthought about. There are elements in here that just, you wouldn't even think about it. Like, they don't just talk about zombies and the outbreak and all that. They talk about the geopolitical situation before, during, and after. They talk about the marketing of these, anti-zombie drugs, and completely off-the-wall stuff you wouldn't think about. Like, they have, like, a segment devoted to, like, how deep-sea divers were dealing with the zombies, and how people in France were having to go into the tunnel systems underneath Paris to deal with the zombies in there. Like, nothing is left undiscussed, and that thoroughness really makes it feel more real, for lack of a better word. It really sucks you in, and you're listening to what, if you were talking about pretty much anything else, might not interest you in the slightest, but because it's got these characters who are just so fully fleshed out, and even if it was about zombies and they had weak characters, you'd be like, okay, this is dumb. But each character has their own unique story, and especially what they do at the end, where they kind of tie up some of the loose ends from the previous stories. It's also a nice touch. If you haven't read it yet, I don't want to spoil too much, because I know a lot of people are just starting. But if you haven't read it yet, it's absolutely phenomenal. I will say that of all the zombie stuff out there, obviously the movie was a disaster, and, you've got stuff like The Walking Dead, and it's like, whatever, and I don't even really have too much of a soft spot for the George Romero ones. I kind of liked Night of the Living Dead, because it was like the classic. Technically the classic is the voodoo one from like the 1930s or something like that, but beyond that, I'd say this is probably the best example of a zombie story done right. It's not focusing too much on the science aspect, it's not focusing too much on the gore or the violence. The weird thing is, World War Z, the zombies don't even play too much of a part, as weird as that sounds. The zombies are more like a set piece, and the focus is on the people dealing with that. It's almost like a background element, which you would think would be a terrible decision, but it works so well. Anyways, I don't want to keep rambling, because I realize I'm babbling like nothing, but it's a great read, and one of the best books I've ever had the privilege of listening to. You'll have a blast.